Are horses psychic? If people talk to horses, do the horses talk back? And if they can, what do those horses say?
Oh, morning, Wilbur.
Never mind that. I'm tired of you beating me to the morning paper.
I'm talking about horse whisperers, a group of really enthusiastic horse owners who not only talk to their animals, but also they claim that the horses are so empathic and intelligent that they have personalities and they can be expressed physically. And when these people speak to their horses, they claim that the horses literally talk back.
Hey, Wilbur, get a load of this story.
But can horses speak? Can they read? Do they really talk? What language do they speak and what do they say? If this really is an actual gift, then surely it's one of the greatest scientific discoveries of all time.
Yes!
Communication with another species on a physical and potentially even telepathic level. That's pretty cool, right?
Yes!
Well, perhaps, but we do have a few problems. Not all horse whisperers are vegan or even vegetarian, but would they eat horses if they had the chance?
No, definitely not.
Are they really committed to this? Do they, to put it another way, actually believe what they claim? Or do they just really like horses? I've got a lot of very strange stories for you. Before we get there, please click that like button, subscribe and ding that bell because it's all coming up right after this. Hey everyone, welcome back to Real Wizardry, where we make your life more magical. I'm Neil Trigger and I'm going to be your magical host. In today's video, I'm going to tell you about the people who claim that they can hear horses talk. And if you think that's weird, by the way, so do I, but it's called horse whispering and apparently it's a thing. I first came across horse whispering many years ago when my university lecturer mentioned that his friend's wife spoke to horses. I jokingly asked, "Hey, do they talk back?" And he just stared straight back at me, plastered a stern expression on his face, lowered his voice to little more than a whisper, and said very seriously, "Absolutely." Let me tell you a story. On the night that I'm writing this, by the way, I've literally just had dinner with a guy who told me that his partner is a horse whisperer. I was interested and more than a little skeptical, and so I said, "Okay, tell me more." Since her birth, his partner, and we'll call her Lisa for the sake of anonymity, could hear voices. Not just the voices of those around her, by the way, but horses. This was so normal for her, and it happened so frequently, that it wasn't until her teenage years that she realised that other humans couldn't hear horses speak. This is a common trait among the gifted, by the way. Apparently, many mediums say the same thing. Now I need to go off on a bit of a tangent, but stay with me because it's all related. About 20 years ago, Lisa went driving to get some food from the village shop in Wales where she lived. She did her shopping and then she got back into the car to return home, but all of a sudden she realised she didn't know where she was or where she lived. Lisa wasn't scared, but rather just very confused by it all, and her cognitive functions were intact. But the experience left her a bit incapacitated, in as much as she didn't know where she was going to go. Where could she go? She realised that the car was pointed in one direction, and it might be a good idea to just keep on driving in that direction and see if it prompted her memories. She came to a small collection of houses, or a hamlet, and something just pinged in her head. "Ooh, I recognise this," she thought. She stopped the car, got out and checked the car keys for a key to a house, and she found it. Which door should she pick? Sounds like one of those TV programmes, doesn't it? Which window shall we go through today, boys and girls?
We'll see it through the watery window, so come and look.
Which door should she pick? By pure coincidence, or perhaps it was still there somewhere in her memory, she chose the front door to her own house, and she went in and sat in the living room, hoping that it was her house, waiting for her boyfriend to return home. Whether she even knew that she had a boyfriend at that stage is still a bit murky and unclear, but the experience faded and then she started to remember everything again. Naturally, she explained what had happened to her boyfriend, whom we shall call Pete. Not his real name. Pete took Lisa to a doctor. Initially, the first doctor thought it was epilepsy and sent her for more scans. Epilepsy is much more common in women than in men, and epilepsy is not just falling on the floor and wobbling a bit. People can also have complex partial seizures, also known as absent seizures, and it can affect memory, language, cognition, that sort of thing. So it's not unreasonable to think that memory loss might be the first signs of an epilepsy-related event going on. They went for a second opinion, and the second doctor said, "It's absolutely not epilepsy, I know what it is." And it turns out that Lisa had something called transient global amnesia. Transient because it's not a permanent thing, and global because it covers pretty much everything, and amnesia meaning memory loss. Having been sent for many MRI scans, the doctor, one of only 2 in his field of expertise apparently, noticed something strange about Lisa's brain. The hippocampus, a chunk of brain at the back near the spine that was to do with memory, was formed almost backwards. When the doctor saw it, he asked, "How long have you been having the hallucinations?" An interesting question we'll get back to in a moment. Lisa asked him to clarify. Was the memory loss a sort of hallucination, like a negative hallucination? What did the doctor mean? "The voices," the doctor said. "How long have you been hearing the voices?" "All my life," Lisa replied. Now, Pete had experience working with electronics and communications equipment in particular, and when he saw the brain scan and had the hippocampus pointed out to him, he said that it looked like a radio receiver, similar to an RFID circuit, because in electronics you need to have the right shape circuit diagram to be able to pick up the signals. Now, Pete mentioned to me that his own horse was, and I quote, "one of the funniest people I've ever met." And I thought it was interesting how Pete called his horse a person. As he was recounting all of these weird stories, by the way, the song playing in the bar was Strange Magic by Electric Light Orchestra, which was yet another reason for me to think to myself, this is really weird. Now, the skeptic in me thinks that horse whispering is possibly the most easily tested psychic phenomenon ever. You just literally take a horse and you show it an object like an apple or a ball, and then ask the horse whisperer what the horse saw. Obviously, you need to control the entire experiment so the horse whisperer can't see it themselves, and the experiment should show a significant swing in the direction of what the horse saw. In fact, unless the horse is a nasty liar, the horse whisperer should be able to get 100% on this test. Now, I don't doubt for a second that there are some people that are good with animals, obviously. I don't even dispute that all of the tales of people calming undomesticated stallions in a matter of minutes to be calm enough to load up with a saddle and tack and be ridden, I'm sure it's uncommon, but it's not impossible. I do believe that it is possible. What I'm really struggling with, though, is the idea that horses have voices that can be understood by humans in the same way as a human talking to another human, or even weirder, psychically. Apparently, according to Pete anyway, the whisperer needs to be touching the horse or very, very close at the same time as this conversation. But this isn't like Braille, it's more like a contactless payment card, I guess, where too much distance just breaks the connection. Many, many years ago, world-famous magician and internationally renowned skeptic James Randi put up a prize for anyone who could prove anything paranormal. Anything paranormal. One condition was that James Randi himself was allowed to debunk it if he could. Now, many people came forward to claim the prize. Naturally, nobody was able to prove it, and the prize was eventually increased to a full $1 million.
Surprise!
As I said, many have tried, nobody has ever been able to prove their claims, and Randi debunked them all. It's sad, really. What I would say is that if Lisa were really truly able to do what Pete told me Lisa could do, surely it would just be easy enough to prove. So the question remains, why hasn't she? Does she not want $1 million? Does she not know about it? Well, I know for a fact that Pete knows about it, and so Lisa, by implication, probably does. So I doubt that. I just guess that it's going to remain a mystery. Thanks very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, ding that bell, and check out the links down below in the description for social medias, website, and memberships like these awesome people. I'll be back next time with some more magical awesomeness, but until next time, as always,
Very magical.